Hi guys, I'm going to be talking about David Hume's bundle theory of the self and why I think he's correct in explaining humans as nothing but a bundle of perceptions and impressions. Hume's bundle theory was created in opposition to the popular belief that there is some kind of constant property in humans which represented the self, something which something invariable over a period of time, which we're able to maybe pin something like the mind or the consciousness to, and it's a comfortable belief that we are in fact one thing and not just a bundle of rapid emotions and physical sensations occurring in succession to one another. But if you think about it, why do you think that you were the same person 10 years ago that you are now? You've changed physically, you've changed mentally, if you believe that there is such a thing as mentally. You've changed in many aspects. The cells in your body have even changed. I think it's over a 7-year span, that, not in a cycle, that the cells in your body have completely been replaced. That's what cells do. The old ones die and the new ones take their place. So why do you think that you are the same person you were 10 years ago? And Hume thinks that we think like this because humans are creatures which use inductive reasoning, causation, and we like to make associations between things which do not actually logically follow. They don't actually make a whole lot of sense. They do make sense in terms of our survival, they're useful observations to make, but in terms of logic, they don't make sense. They don't make entire, Anyway, Hume states that humans are made up of impressions. We experience a series of emotions, physical sensations, and other discernible perceptions over short periods of time, and these impressions are ever-changing and non-constant. And Hume believes that the self, or the idea of the self, which people commonly put out there, is a thing that is omnipresent and does not change. And if we are entirely made up of these impressions, which no one has been able to refute, since when you think of someone, the properties of a person, the only thing you can think of are these perceptions, and we are experiencing things through these perceptions, so it's hard not to think outside the box of these perceptions, that we can't really be made up of anything else. And if there is, the problem here is that if you're made up of X and you were said to be made up of Y, then Y is not X. There is no existence of a unifying constant property if what we are made up of is non-constant properties. X is not Y. And Hume argues that this idea of the self, or the idea of the self, is simply an illusion. The word self in itself implies some kind of constant invariable, and an example to help justify this is the ship of Theseus, and this is quite a reasonable and logical explanation. The example is that if you have a ship that over time gets its parts replaced, like the hull, the decking, and the sails, then is it still the same ship as it was from the start? If over a certain period of time everything is being replaced, is it still the same ship? And Hume would argue that no, it's not the same ship, that in fact the idea of Theseus's ship was just like a sort of social construct, not a it doesn't follow logic. And yes, Hume also uses the example of an apple compared to our idea of the self, saying that if you try to think of an apple, the first things that come to your head, the only things that will come to your head, are its properties. You'll start listing its properties, like its taste, its shape, its colour, its cell formations, and so on. And from this, Hume concludes that an object is made up entirely of its properties, and in fact, if the object's existence depends on the existence of its properties, then the object is its properties. There is no actual object, there is just the bundle of properties, because these properties change over time. There are different kinds of apples. You can't draw any parallels between apples and some kind of underlying magical substance which makes an apple. There is just simply the bundle of properties, and the properties in themselves could be labelled as a self, but Hume argues that no, his theory of the self is actually a theory of no self.